Ashley, I'm called. I'm a Millet Coos and Pamunkey person, an enrolled citizen of the Confederated Tribes of the Coos, Umpqua, Siuslaw Indians. I'm the Interim Director of the Culture and Natural Resources Department for my tribe. I'm also a faculty research assistant in the College of Forestry at Oregon State University, pursuing my Master's of Natural Resources under the advisement of Dr. Christina Eisenberg. So as Interim Director of Natural Resources and Culture, I oversee 10 staff currently, but fully staffed, it would be about 20 positions. We coordinate stewardship, culture activities. Our role is to reconnect tribal citizens in the community with our lands and with their culture, because we believe that the culture stewards the place and the place stewards the culture. And so that is our responsibility in our department. And so with that, we try to ensure that our lands are healthy because of past land use management, colonization, treaty era, termination of our Western Oregon tribes. And with all of that, that has resulted in loss of culture. We are striving now to be the voice or provide a safe space for our elders and those that still have that knowledge and are willing to share what still has survived. And I guess return stewardship, because today's forests in Western Oregon are in trouble, as we've seen with a lot of the huge mega fires, and we believe it's because of the lack of Indigenous stewardship. Our Indigenous stewardship has been suppressed since colonization, and these lands have co-evolved with us since we arrived here 40,000+ years ago. And the stewardship has only been suppressed for 150, well, I guess 170 years now. Sorry, I'm itching. But it's because of the innate connection that we have with this place, because our ancestors have been here for millennia. It's our department's responsibility to ensure that current generations and future generations know where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And culture is an important aspect of that. And so, like I stated, we monitor water quality, we go out in the forest and we do monitoring of forest vegetation. We work with federal agencies, state agencies, local cities, counties, stakeholders like watershed councils, nonprofits, anybody that's willing to want to, steward the lands in a good way. And because of the way that our story is written, we are not really a reservation tribe. We didn't have a lot of lands until 2018, and our ancestor territory extends. It was 1.6 million acres, and so we still feel that it's our inherent responsibility to steward those lands, even though we currently don't own like even 1% of them. But we don't have to. I feel that people that live on this landscape and are part of the community, if we work together in a good way and with a good heart for the future generations, I feel leveraging all of our multiple ways of knowing for a better future in the status of the anthropogenic climate change. I do believe that our department, our people, our community can steward, our places in a good way for the next 7 generations. As an Indigenous person, we live in 2 worlds, And as you can imagine, that's kind of really hard to navigate. You have the responsibility from your own families and those traditions, but then you also have like mainstream society and trying to braid those together. So it's kind of like going forward, we hear a lot about Indigenous knowledge or traditional ecological knowledge and trying to braid that together with Western science. So that's like inside of every Indigenous person in the United States. But there's a lot to unpack there too. There's a lot of intergenerational trauma associated with boarding schools, removal from our ancestral lands, the outlawing or banning of practicing your own culture, your beliefs, your traditions. And with that comes a lot of, I don't want to say baggage, but it comes with a lot of hardship and a lot of hurt. But we believe that getting back to our cultural practices, our languages, the language of a place is really telling because it describes the place in a different way than like a settler colonial mindset. We didn't name things after a person or after someone's name. We named it by describing what that place looks like. So, for example, there's a place in Coos Bay called the Hollering Place, Elk Elch, and it's on North Spit, and it's where you would holler over to get a canoe ride back and forth across the bay. And when language was removed, a lot of that connection, a lot of that significance was lost. And the landscapes changed so much when the settlers came and through different land use practices. And so revitalizing language is important. These lands, they recognize that language, they know that language. And they recognize the current language that's spoken there too. But yeah, getting back to culture, getting back to language is prevention because with a lot of that intergenerational trauma, that hurt, the lack of knowledge transfer, getting to know one's heritage and practicing, even if it's just a few things, even if it's just speaking your language, or even if it's just something that your grandma or your uncle or your auntie taught you. We do this on summer solstice, or we only take like a quarter of that plant. We're not going to harvest all of those berries because we're going to leave them from the four-leggeds and the winged and the two-leggeds, because we're stewards and it's our responsibility to share. So it's just little things like that that we believe will prevent a lot of our people from trying to, instead of trying to put a Band-Aid or cover up all that like intergenerational trauma and hurt, getting back to one's culture and practices and traditions and language. We feel that that's healing, and that'll help not only my generation, but the future generations, my children, my children's children. And it's really amazing, and I'm probably going to get emotional, but to reconnect these youth with their lands, because we have been removed for so long. And I feel like that reconnection with place is really important, especially in a time where, technology seems to be the end-all be-all, and we're forgetting where we come from, where our ancestors have been, the struggles that they went through, just for us to be able to, be out here today. And I think they know that. They know that it's a inherited or innate responsibility for them to one day be the leaders, because our youth are our leaders, and just little subtle things to help indigenize this program, these methods, and then when we close the plot, we smudge again and we thank the place. Again, that's that reciprocity piece. And before we even when we do a seed collection, before we harvest, you know, we ask permission again to be open about having a conversation with plants. Some of the youth at first are just like, well, how do I do that? Or how I know that, you know, it's right? And, you know, trying to explain that. You know, you just have to open your mind and your heart. And you know, we know that plants, they talk with one another through signaling under the roots and then in the air. And if you go in there with a good heart, you know, in your own way, you can hear what they're saying if you know, are open to trying to speak their language. Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, do we ever really know what we want to be when we grow up? I don't know. I've like never envisioned myself in my current position that I have. I just had my 20-year high school reunion a couple weeks ago, and I remember looking back, and they always ask you that question, like, you know, what do you want to do after high school? And I reflected, and I guess I had said I want to be a wetlands manager, and it's not too far off. You know, it's part of, I do oversee wetlands, but I help steward and oversee, you know, the whole wetlands that are encompassed in, you know, our places. And what got me here, I went to college, got a bachelor's degree, and applied for an entry-level position as the water protection specialist. Well, I didn't get the job, but I interviewed so well that they created a temporary position as the environmental project specialist. And I was tasked with doing environmental assessments of all the properties. And that was where I quickly learned that I love being on our lands, and learned that I'm really good at identifying plants and remembering their cultural uses, their names, and I enjoy sharing that. And I think it's really telling, you know, going back to your culture, really, and you'll gravitate towards certain things. And, you know, there's something innately that is passed down by your ancestors that that's in your blood that you are good at just naturally without even trying. And it's just trying to expose yourself to those different experiences to learn what that is. And then from there, just being a part of my community, because I didn't grow up in my tribe. My parents split up when I was really little. But I visited my ancestral place every summer after I was 9. And I felt that connection instantly. And I knew as an adult I wanted to return back there. And I guess you could say I was somewhat culturally thirsty, I guess is the easy way to put it. But just giving back to my community has been really rewarding. And I mean, and that's what our hope is. I'm sure that's what our ancestors' hope is, because as Indigenous people, you know, everyone, they had a place in the community. Everyone contributed something. And I think the most important thing, or one piece of advice I would give is, you know, to give back to your community. I think that's what a lot of us are lacking these days. You know, we all have like our single family and individual houses, and we forget, you know, that, you know, we're humans. We have a pack mentality, and we don't really survive well on our own. Some people do, but for the most part, we don't. And just giving back to community service, with not just in your tribal community, but your overall, you know, community, because, you know, we're all people of this place, and we all deserve space to contribute in a good way and with a good heart, of course.